Hey guys, King of Charm Manager. Alright, so they put a, so we had a lot of great news. If you've been looking for new content and you've been level 40 forever, guess what? There's a whole bunch of new things that just came out today. Or at least news updates. They want to fish, I don't think things will be implemented until like December 2nd, as you see here. However, the exciting thing is, Pokemon from the Kalos region is coming out. So Generation 6 is coming to Pokemon Go. And a whole bunch of other changes, so whether or not that's going to shift the meta, it likely is. A lot of these changes are probably going to shift PvP metas just because of CP ranges, etc. But I'm going to go over all of that later. This video is going to cover the Generation 6 Pokemon that are coming out first. So just, it's not, we don't have the stats or the CP yet, or the like movesets, so that's not in the data yet. Once it's there, I'll do an analysis for that. However, all the Pokemon Generation 6 is here, so there will be a set of Pokemon coming out in December, but we're going to take a look at, that's what we're going to take a look at. Alright, so here's a list of Pokemon that are coming out. Chespin, Froakie, Fletching, other evolutions. So basically the starters, as well as Talonflame, which is their like version of Pidgeot, and you have Pyroars, which is like Shinx, but it's on fire. So there's a lot of things you can expect to encounter wild and by hatching eggs on December 2nd. So on December 2nd, things are going to, that's when you will see things change. So that's about like, I'd say like 2 weeks from now. So I think like by the end of Catch Cup, some things will change. As you see here, there's going to be a new event. So from Wednesday to Tuesday, so for a week, Kalos region Pokemon will appear more in the wild. And there appears to be a new like raid egg. I'm not sure where this is going to do, and we'll see it later. But as you see, there are going to be new Pokemon that are coming out. We're going to analyze each one individually. Now, I think it's important to remember that none of these are probably going to break PvP immediately. The thing about these starters is, yes, they may or may not be extremely powerful, like how normal stars are, except for Gen 4, because Gen 4 was absolute garbage. Oshawott, Chimchar, and Turtwig were kind of huge letdowns and didn't really shift the meta. They weren't really viable in Go Battle League. Unless you saw them in like some grasshole line, then that's probably the only way you saw it. Anyways, like I mentioned, they don't have their community day moves. So Chespin won't have Frenzy Plant, Fennekin won't have Blast Burn, and Froakie won't have Hydro Cannon. That has a lot of implications because the reason why starter Pokemon are so overpowered in Go Battle League is because they have their signature moves. These Pokemon don't yet. So until their community days come out with their shinies and they get Hydro Cannon, etc., the starters, I'm 90% sure the starters aren't going to shift the meta. Unless they just get ridiculously broken movesets. That's the only way. Anyways, we're going to go through each one. I'm only going to go through their final forms, not their base stage. So I'm only going to go through, like, say, for Chespin, I'm only going to go through Chestnut. I'm only going to go through... There's no point of me doing a full analysis because we don't know all the data yet. So because I don't have all the data yet, we're just going to go through typings and what they might have, etc. Okay, so I'm actually wrong. They are in the Pokemon Go Hub database. So actually, the stats and everything are actually in the database. So that's really interesting. Well, actually, they data mine everything ahead of time, so I'm not surprised. But GoHub is amazing, and the website has served a great deal for my content because it shows a lot of data. And we do have the data for Gen 6. As you see here, Chespin has a really interesting stat pool. It's very balanced, surprisingly. So its attack, defense, and stamina are literally like near dead even. So it could be a pretty good mon. Like I said, what makes stats are good and all. However, movesets really make or break the Pokemon. As you see, we don't see them. We don't know what the movesets are yet. However, it maxes out, let's see, for Great League around 17 or 18. So I would say not super expensive. And the second move's probably going to be 10k. So like I said, until we see the movesets, no full analysis. But as you see, semi-even stats. And it might be a beast for Ultra League. Because it maxes out near 3,000. It maxes out at near 2,500. So we'll see what happens. Now, what I don't like about Chestnut is anything with grass and fighting essentially just destroyed by, like, so many things. Fairies, fire, flying. You see all these weaknesses, so it has a huge weakness pool and resistance pool. You know Virizion, right? Yeah, the reason why it's not good in PvP is because it dies to too many things. So does Chestnut. However, until the moveset comes out, until we see, like, what moveset has, etc., I can't fully speculate. Can it be good? Yes, but we'll see what happens. Alright, enter Delphox, the Fire Starter. Well, not the Fire Starter, the final evolution of the Fire Starter. Behold, it's Harry Potter with... It's like, yeah, it's a fox from Harry Potter, and it's a... Yeah, it's on fire. It's a Fire and Psychic type. It's a really interesting mod because I believe this is, like, even though I believe Vulpix should be a Psychic type, it's actually, like, this is a Fire and Psychic, so... Now, the thing about Fire and Psychic, it leaves it vulnerable to a lot of things in the meta, so things, as you see here, it has a ton of weaknesses. Ground is very relevant. I think the one you can probably tell the most is Galarian Stunfisk. Stunfisk, Hydro Cannons are going to destroy you. Delphox has probably the worst PvP potential out of all the Pokemon because it just has so many weaknesses, and so many of its weaknesses are relevant in the meta. It does have a decent amount of resistances, as you see here. You do resist both Fairy and Fighting, so counter users and Charm users, you will resist it. And it just has a lot of resistances. However, because of all these weaknesses flying around, I don't expect it to be a meta monster right away. However, we can only speculate. And it's mostly because of its stats too. Maxes out at near 30-59. It has a high attack. It's essentially not quite glassy because its defense and stamina are actually quite, like, decent. So it's not going to be a super glass cannon, but it's not going to be super bulky. It's going to be somewhat, like, I don't know if somewhat bulky or it's going to be able to tank some moves. But other than that, as you see, Delphox, it's a very interesting mon. Like I said, until movesets come out, we can't really analyze what's going on, and they're not likely going to have their community moves. If you give something like this Confusion, and you give it like Fire Punch or something like that, maybe, but like I said, until we see, like, with so many of its weaknesses running around, I don't expect for Delphox to really reign high on Go Battle League. And last but not least, well, not last but not least, but we have the most popular pick of all of the three starters, arguably the legendary, one of the most popular starters, and it's it's very powerful in the anime. Greninja really won Ash a lot of matches. In fact, the only reason Ash made it so far was because of Greninja, and it also has this form called Ash Greninja, which I'm not going to go into until they actually release it. Anyways, Greninja is very powerful in the anime. However, what makes it interesting is a water and dark type. So water and dark types carry more implications. So you're weak against bug, electric, fairy, fighting, and grass. So fairy and fighters are very prevalent in Go Battle League, so it's kind of interesting just how Greninja will fit. As you see here, its stats, it has very high attack and somewhat subpar defense and stamina, so it's kind of a glass cannon. So it's kind of a glass cannon. Because of that, and it maxed out 2654. It does max out rather low compared to its other counterparts, so it's gonna be interesting just how, like, Greninja fares. Obviously, this is like the favorite mod of so many trainers since its release, or when it's gonna be released. So we'll see what happens. If it gets a good fast move with Hydro Cannon, I can see Greninja being a beast. It's a lot like Swampert, because as you see here, this is Greninja stats, and then here's Swampert stats, just to give you a little bit of an idea. Here's Swampert. There's Greninja, there's Swampert. Swampert's thicker because it has higher stamina, so because of that, it's really interesting just how Greninja will fare. So we'll see what happens. Mud Boys are generally strong. Greninja's unique because it's water and dark, so there's not many water dark types in the game. So you do have a slew of resistances, as you see here. However, like I said, until we see movesets, and until they get the community moves, I don't know if Greninja's going to be a monster. However, for all of you lovers of Greninja, rejoice because it's coming to Pokemon Go, and it might actually be good. The keywords might. Don't quote me on that one until we see movesets, and yeah. Another popular mon is also Talonflame. So Talonflame is really interesting. It's actually somewhat powerful. So the thing about Talonflame, it's a fire and flying type, which you don't know Charizard, right? But what makes it really interesting is it maxes out near 2205, and it has a pretty balanced stat pool. As you see here, very balanced. So even it's a better version of Charizard in a sense. Not really. So the thing about Charizard, it has Blast Burn. Talonflame probably won't. However, if Talonflame has something like Flame Charge, you give it like Air Slash, it can be good in this meta. So, not going to rule out Talonflame, but Talonflame's looking pretty sweet. It also has a very sweet design, and as you see, a ton of resistances, just like Charizard, and you're only weak to 3 typings, which are pretty somewhat prevalent in Go Battle League, but like Charizard's good in Go Battle League. It's not amazing, but it's good, and Talonflame looks to be the same. Next, we have Pyroar. Pyroar is garbage. No, seriously, it's garbage. So the reason why it's garbage is because it's stat pull. So it's like Swampert in a sense that it has pretty similar stats. The problem is Pyroar's fire and normal typing that's horrible. Being weak, it would have been better if Pyroar was just a pure fire type, because being a normal typing actually gives it an additional weakness, which is fighting. Now, obviously, normal typings only are weak to fighting, and they get that ghost resistance, which can be pretty sweet. However, Pyroar overall, depending on its moveset, I don't foresee it being a beast. Fire's already underpowered in the game enough. Incineroar did nothing for either of them, which I expect to have for this thing. But Pyroar not looking like the hottest thing since sliced bread, so just don't expect too much from Pyroar. It can be good. Am I saying it's going to be good? Not likely. Next, you have Diggersby. Now, this thing looks like evil. It has 4 arms. It will punch you in the face, and ironically, even though because of its design, I expect this to be like a pseudo counter user, kind of. Now, it's a normal and ground type. Remember, you give anything a normal type, that's kind of bad because something punches in your face and it dies really fast. That's the problem. And for Diggersby, the thing about Diggersby though, it's actually pretty decent. If you look at it, it maxes out near 1500, has a very high stat pool. This is Diggerby's stats. This is Azu's stats. It's not as oppressive as far as they're kind of similar. As you see, like, Azu has way more stamina, but they're kind of similar. So Diggersby's looking to be a little interesting for this meta. It's literally, like I said, until we figure out its actual moves, it is. But if you give this thing counter, it can be actually really good because of how powerful its stats max out. It's essentially a Zoomeril with a different typing and different weaknesses. So you might see it. I'm not going to say this is a new Azu. Azu will still destroy this thing, but like you might have Azu's cousin come pretty soon if this thing gets countered. And last but not least, Klefki. Now, I don't like that this is regional because, yeah, Niantic jacked up. This should have never been regional. Here's the problem. Klefki in the main anime game is extremely powerful in VGC. It's literally been banned at multiple points throughout the game because it's just that freaking good. It's Steel Fairy. Steel Fairy is a very good typing. There's very few things that really oppress this. For example, Steel types are usually threatened by Fighting types. With the Fairy typing, you take out that weakness. With the Steel typing, you take out the Poison weakness from Fairy. So it turns into neutral damage. So Klefki, with these 2 typings, it gives it coverage. It's extremely powerful. If you've played Mawile, you kind of have an idea just how oppressive Steel and Fairy is. But the thing about Klefki too, its stats are broke. It's pretty broke. It's maxed out near 1500. It has its stats are pretty good across the board. It has a pretty decent attack. Its defense and stamina. It has higher defense than Azu and a higher attack point. So it's super powerful. Klefki's only weak to fire and ground typing. Look at everything you resist. So you're going. I don't like that this is regional, because depending on its moveset, this thing can be a beast. Yeah, it's gonna be really good. So, again, if hopefully Klefki is like remote raid available, because that's pretty much your only way to get one other than France. Just to put it on a note, if you have a Klefki, you can take out Tropius. You take out Tropius, you resist other Charmers. Remember I said neutral damage, actually poison doesn't actually, you're not weak against poison. It's a monster. So this thing is going to absolutely run the meta. And of course, Galarian, Stunfisk, and other ground types will like oppress it, but like it's still, Klefki is going to be a monster. if it gets good stats, we're... Go Battle League is in trouble. Alright, here's a technical summary. This is great news. Having a whole new Pokemon come out makes it really fresh content. This gives me a whole bunch of new things to analyze, so I'm really happy about it. At the same time... Oh, as you saw, a lot of these Pokemon are very unknown. So depending on their movesets, they can and cannot be good. I can foresee, as long as the starters get like their community moves, they can be good. Because they're overpowered. Klefki's going to be, unless they nerf Klefki by giving it a really horrifying moveset, Klefki is definitely going to be something to watch out for. And if you're in France and you can catch it, we're probably going to see Go Battle League a lot. And there are going to be a lot of teams that are built around it. Because that thing actually wrecks Tropius. As you saw on the analysis. Unless it gets a bad moveset, like I said. Unless it gets a bad moveset. Tropius didn't get a bad moveset. So Klefki probably isn't going to get bad moveset. That's just something to look out for. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this news. There are other things I'm going to cover about this event. And implications / PvP stuff. This is the most relevant PvP news though, because new Pokemon means new analysis, and that means new meta shifts, and these Pokemon do come out. You can probably expect a meta shift depending on their movesets. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like it, please like and subscribe. I will be doing the analysis. I will be doing these analyses as soon as possible. So once their movesets drop, I will do the analyses right away. I promise. That way, you guys can get the most up-to-date and as quick as possible. I promise I'll get that information out as quick as possible as soon as I get it. Anyways, you guys have a good one. I will see you on the next video.